Welcome, friends. Welcome, everyone, to the vRunoffs. Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors live right here on Apex Racing TV. I am your host and the series' biggest fan, Jim Hodson. Joining me on commentary is, of course, Jack Kanan. And in the production booth, it is none other than Jonathan Johnny Grabs Grabowski. A momentous occasion today because not only are the drivers in the new SRF Gen 3 for the first time in anger today, but Jack, we're at Road Atlanta, my home track. I love it so.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Road Atlanta is brilliant, and I think this is going to be certainly one for these brand new cars as well. The first time we've seen these cars out in the flesh. They had a brand new update, of course, over the week. They have more power, less weight, and a 6-speed gearbox to add into there as well. So plenty of changes. They're a lot faster, and they certainly look a lot faster, even to the naked eye, as we look through right here, as we're looking at Stevie Ray, of course. A series organised for the SRF Weekend Warriors, and we're excited to see that series return as well. But we're here tonight basically just to have some fun in the brand new car.
Yeah, and what a lot of fun it's going to be. I have driven the new car, and I got to say, Jack, it feels to me, in addition to the things that you mentioned, it feels to me just a little bit tighter. It feels almost like the car has just had its all its bushings replaced with new ones, maybe those upgraded polyurethane, you know, the kind that the rich folks buy. But it is faster, as you say. It's got that sequential gearbox, no more H pattern. You know, some drivers like that, some don't. Personally, I think it's pretty great.
Yeah, you can even hear it in the gear shifts from as we're on board with Kane Halliburton as well. You could kind of hear in the previous car the kind of delay between the shifts, but now you could just hear a slight little rev as they go through the gears. And yeah, it's great to have that just extra gear as well. Of course, they have 30 more horsepower than they did before, so in the 135 to 140 horsepower range now before, and of course a 7% weight reduction in these cars as well as that new sequential gearbox. So definitely it equates to roughly on a long track 4 to 5 seconds a lap, so they are basically very quick now compared to what they were. But the beauty is they've just taken the weight off, added some speed, but they haven't added any aero dependence, so we can still have the great racing that we're used to in the SRF Weekend Warriors series, just a lot faster now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, yeah, I did hear drivers saying something like 4 or 5 seconds here at Road Atlanta, so definitely expect to see that. And that is being played out now as we're seeing some times come in. Now, I just want to mention as well, we've got almost, Jack, a who's who of favorites from folks that we know from racing in the series, but also some new faces. Bodes well for the future.
Absolutely, yeah, and as well, one guy in the top 5, there seems to be a new face, vRunoffs there in P5, and well, we have a familiar name at the top of the standings right now, it's Hugh Haycox. You all know him from the Weekend Warriors series. Halliburton, Stefani, Elson, you'll know as well. Plenty to keep your eye on. Antonio Reyes as well, the Masters Series champion from SRF Weekend Warriors. There he is, as newly crowned in his 906 machine. So plenty of other ones as well. As Sykes goes to the top. That's a new guy. That's a new name at the top, and that's brilliant because it's exactly what we want to see. New faces up there. Simon Sykes is the new fastest. He's going to maybe loop around the turn 1. Oh, holds it very nicely.
Yeah, unfortunately, a sight that we have seen before. Manny having a little bit of a moment. These things do happen. Now, 132, I'll tell you, at Road Atlanta is very strong. So these guys running very close together. Of course, you can see those times there on the timing tower on the left of your screen. Everybody very close together, but I am absolutely thrilled to see these names like Sykes, Williamson. Of course, we know Haycox, as you say, Stefani, you know, old favorites mixed up with new faces. As I say, bodes well, but everybody turning some very, very fast laps and not much time between these top guys as usual. That's just, we expect to see that out of this series. Cars very, very close together as we were riding along with the car going through turn 5 there. Just about a minute to go in qualifying, and then I'll do my best to make it through this field. Jack, we got 52 cars today. Thrilling.
Yeah, 52 car. It's always a struggle to get it to read out the grid on SRF. So if we can get it done before lights out, then all the better. But I've noticed there's two cars actually. Calb and Elson have. We talk about close. They've set the exact same time, 7th and 8th, and less than a 10th between a couple of guys as well. I mean, it's super close. But they're also, of course, it's open qualifying right here, which is kind of not too common within the iRacing scene. You're obviously used to the long qualifying, but here, of course, with the open qualifying, you've got the benefit of being drafted along by the other cars as well. There's another car just taken to the off-road there in the last chicane before dropping down the hill. So these laps right now will be the last as 10 seconds ticked over. You don't get to finish your lap if you're on one when the timer ticks over. So, for example, Jerry McAreevy, he's not going to quite get it. Staney goes to the top at the very death, 52.572, and goes onto the pole here at Road Atlanta. So another car stopped on the infield. I think turn 1 could end up being a little bit messy, especially with 52 cars.
Yeah, well, certainly could be, yeah, and it is a little bit deceptive as turn 1. Got to keep that momentum up to get up the hill, and speaking of which, we just see the 1, 2, 3 car having a little bit of a moment there, and yeah, I cannot wait for this to start. Absolutely thrilled to see these new faces. Thank you guys so much for joining us. You will not regret it. As I say, this is the best series anywhere, not just on the service, real life simulation, the whole thing. You can keep your Formula One. We should be winding down qualifying here shortly and getting to our grid. Pleased to see Jack Yangshi Lin back. Haven't seen his face in the grid in quite some time, even though we don't see his face. We see his name and his car. Great driver is Yangshi. Great to see him back on the grid. Of course, Iro Nam, previous champion multiple times. Great to see him. And Murakami, as you mentioned, running down there in 21st, just behind Stevie Ray. Lots of great times out of these guys.
Yeah, and super, super close. There's less than half a tenth between your top 3, and I don't think we actually have a gap that's over a tenth and a half. Between some guys, close to 2 tenths maybe between Stefani and Sekowski, but that's it. So, I mean, it's super tight. That is less than a second, maybe even less than half a second between 25 cars. So that's the level we're talking about here. So to qualify on pole, as Jason Staney has done here by a hundredth and a bit, that is very, very well done from him. Simon Sykes and Fraser Williamson. So 3 kind of newish names on the top, and Hugh Haycox, of course, multiple race winner, down in 4th.
Well, here we should see our grid very shortly, and we'll do our best to make our way through it. As I say, lots of cars on a track that's only 2.5 miles long, 2.54 if memory serves. I have raced here with a very big field, and it is a little bit crowded, so I'm absolutely... Well, here we go. As we say, Jason Staney put himself into pole there just at the last second. Thrilling. Great work, Staney. He's joined by Simon Sykes on the front row. Another new face. Great to have you. And they're followed by Fraser Williamson, who I believe is also new. And, of course, our old favorite Hugh Haycox there is on row 2. On row 3, it's Greg Stefani and Neil Sitkowski. We've seen both those guys before. Glad to have them back. And 7th and 8th, it is Gresham Wagner and Kane Halliburton. Great to have both you guys with us as well. Of course, we all know Iro Nam. He's been around many, many times. David Kalb, I believe, is new, and if not, well, we're still glad to have you, David, one way or the other. Stephen Nelson, of course, an old favorite, and Manuel Lucetta there in P12. Excuse me. In 13th, it is, of course, Antonio Reyes, who's joined by Maurizio Naselli, 2 very old hands and fast drivers. They're followed by Jeff Richard, Jason Perry, very much the same. And behind them, it's Stephen Beardsley and Bobby West. Of course, behind them, it's Michael Dobeck and series organizer Stevie Ray. Thank you for your Thank you for all your hard work, Stevie Ray. Behind Stevie Ray, it's Chris Burakami, Ed Doherty, J.W. Miller, and Yangshi Lin. There he is. Glad to have him back. In 25th place, it'll be Dan Sadro who organized today's session. Thank you, Dan. Joined by Miro Hraski, followed by Dominic Blashik and Jerry McAreevy. And then it's Nico Shook, John Pereira, Edgar Sentinelli, Peter Mizarek, Dominic Barreau, Alex Albert, James King, and Francesco Bernardo in 36th place. In 37th, it's Jeff Jacobson, joined by Simon Mayer, and then it's Roland Walbeck. I apologize. He's joined by Burke Triedler, followed by Flavio Andalo and Stephen Mitchell. And then in 43rd, it's Ian Gibson, Adam Bradshaw, Johan Butenga, Sergey Aksenchev, Jeff Kenter, and Bob Kern in 48. And last, but far from least, starting from 49th, it's, of course, Andrea Luciano, Maxim Karpachin, Jamie Halford, and Andres Bertoni, whom I'm not sure if Bertoni set a time. Yes, he did. Well, he's on the grid anyway. And it looks like we're going to get a pretty serious formation lap here, so I probably had plenty of time.
Well, yeah, I think they felt a bit of pity for you, and I mean, but to even get it done before the safety car rolled off is pretty good job. So not bad. But we get a full formation lap here at Road Atlanta to just get these guys settled before we head to the race. We also just get to kind of see what turn one was like there. Uphill, blind, and then into a sharp right-hander before dropping into the S's, which you'll see now. So a perfect way to see the track. You'll see the elevation change as well, going downhill, then back steep uphill climb up to turn 5, which is also like a blind corner. We'll see plenty of guys here taking too much of the curve, running out wide, and then dragged into that wall. So it's a real roller coaster of a circuit. Prime overtaking opportunity as always. Well, in the SRF, it's basically everywhere, but especially with this particular track, it's the back straight into the final chicane, which is always perfect, especially when you're in cars that love the draft, just like these cars.
Yes, plenty of time to check your gauges and think about catching the car ahead of you between where we are now, turn 7, that's Hazel Harrell Memorial Corner, as the 12 car is having a little bit of trouble at the out turn 7. As many cars have in the past, but yes, plenty of time to look at your gauges, as I say, between turns 7 and 10A, the first turn of the chicane. We are now going through turns 8 and 9, not much of a turn in these cars due to their, well, I think we know why, but in some of those real ground pounders, cars with a whole lot of speed and a whole lot of power, these are actual turns, particularly turn 9 here, and we'll begin to go down the hill into 10A. It's that AB complex where all the fun usually is, which is why there's so much seating there. Of course, when the track was originally built, 10A and B did not exist. It was a straight line through here known as Gravity Cavity. And, well, you can imagine how dangerous that was. But here we go. We should be getting underway just shortly, riding alongside, or in the cockpit with West there, Staney and Sykes. Coming down the hill into 12, and we will be racing here shortly. Staney leads them through the final turn. Cars all together there as they cross the finish line. And I think we're already going to have an incident. We do indeed. That looks like it's got to be Haycock's off the track. And I mentioned it before the race started, but very easy to ping pong back and forth between those K-rails along the front straight. That might be West's car. Nothing you can do about that. Cars trying to avoid West. Now they're only just seeing him. He is able to get underway unbelievably. Oh, mercy.
Wow.
Well, here we go. Here are your leaders. Staney, Sykes, Senkowski, and Williamson, mostly together. We do have a pretty good train of cars just navigating turn 5 there. It is, as Jack said, a little bit of a trouble navigating 5. There's a car having a little bit of a moment back there and just trying to get into Elson's car. Here comes the replay. Let's see what happened. So down the hill we go into 12. Cars all bunched up. I think it's the number 34 car that had an issue. Yep. Just tried to thread the needle there, didn't he? And then West collects them. Stevie Ray's right behind. That's Shook's car I just saw there. So what? I guess West must have been sort of shunted the other direction and ping-ponged off the other side and came back through the field, Jack.
Yeah, that's just unlucky for Haycock, because I think he was just kind of dragged in and then just massively collected by Bobby West, and ping-pong effect there. So we'll see now with Bobby West, you'll see Haycock ping off to the right-hand side, bounce back across the circuit, Bobby West slamming into him there, and then going for an absolutely wild ride in this second phase there. He's flipping wildly, lands on his wheels, finds first gear, away we go, no problem.
Yeah. No harm, no foul, I guess. West, sorry to see that happen to you. These things do happen. I must apologize, guys. I did refer to Manny previously, but that is Sykes' car. On my screen, he's running a similar livery to what we're used to seeing Manny in. I apologize. Of course, everybody's running a little bit of a different livery here because it is week 13 and we'll soon to move into a new season. So livery's a little bit different. I apologize for making that mistake, but we've got quite a race going on here through turn 6. This is your group of leaders. I think that's Sykes all the way down to Aero Nam. Unbelievable, Jack, to see Nam in 9th. Very fast driver in this car, lots of pace. Of course, the car is new for everybody, so what a shakeup, you know, it could be for us, the fans.
Yeah, it certainly could. And you can kind of see, even with the onboard with Kane Halliburton there, you can get a sense that these cars are just so much faster now. Look at these guys in the train just bump drafting each other down the straight. And look at this, the 75 is Stefani absolutely going for it on a double on the inside. Moves from 4th up to 2nd and immediately takes both cars with the overspeed that he had and decided he wasn't up for staying in the draft, and he moves into 2nd. So it's Simon Sykes who leads, Greg Stefani in 2nd, then Staney and Stankowski now 4th, Fraser Williamson in 5th, and Kane Halliburton in P6. Fast lap of the race for Stefani that time with the huge overspeed that he had into the corner. But it's so nice to see these cars have a lot of speed right now. They were very slow in comparison to this right now, but now they've got some serious power behind them, and it's certainly making it a little bit more on the edge now, which is absolutely brilliant to look at.
Yeah, especially, you know, even with a car, a track like Road Atlanta, which you can put, you know, prototypes on it. Petit Le Mans, there are what they used to call Daytona prototypes. But, you know, big cars compared to the SRF. Of course, just about every car is big compared to the SRF. But, you know, even with a full-size track like this, they need every bit of the roadway and able to get them turned. And that's what makes this so fun. Here's a little train led by Perry. That's Perry, Fritcher, Lucetta, and Race there, and I think that's just Elson just ahead of them. It is Elson running in 10th overall. So and there's Naselli as well. So Perry, we're just hearing from our production team that Yangshi Lin might have had an issue. Here he is. That's turn 6. Oh yeah, the car is looking very much the worse for wear. Jack, I don't think it came from the factory like that.
No, I think that definitely was caused by something else for Shilin. So it's definitely seen better days, that car, so to speak. And well, I mean, there's one way of testing the damage model, and now he's got to try and limp that car back to pit lane or carry on if he can. I'm assuming he's going to bring it back to the pit lane. Here's Antonio Race. He's going to go for that move, and Lucetta gets it done. Go back to the lead right now. And there's Greg Stefani now in the lead. So he's not hanging around, Greg Stefani. So he's moved up a couple of places in the space of 2 laps. I'm also noticing Staney seems to have, just on the right-hand side of the car, as we look at it now, seems to have Sykes carrying some right-hand side damage on that car. So now he's maybe suffering with it a tiny bit, but he's still keeping up with Greg Stefani here. We'll get an idea now of the kind of slipstream effect in this car, because Stefani with a little bit of a 0.4 of a second advantage down the back straight, and we'll see now how close Sykes is able to get. 0.4 of a second back. No draft for Greg Stefani. How much will Sykes close up with this draft? Already he's pulled 0.2. It's getting closer. It's getting closer. So 0.4 of a second is the draft range for certain. You can hear Sykes backing off the throttle, but if he carried on, he's certainly well able to come from that far back and pull an overtake as they try to just keep each other within distance right now. But the draft still just as strong, if not a bit stronger than it was in this new generation of Spec Racer Ford.
Absolutely, and I'm expecting to see a little bit of teamwork here. I'm wondering if we will, Jack, between Staney and Sinkowski, just because they're, I assume they're teammates, judging by the livery. It looks very much the same to me. The number 57 and the 39 machine running just ahead of the 123 of Williamson there. So you wonder if there might be a little bit of bone drafting later on. But yeah, these drivers are benefiting from the draft from one another. Interesting to see. It looks like Staney is now just able to catch up to the rear of Sykes, whereas it seemed to me that Stefani and Sykes were kind of getting away from him a little bit as we go down through the S's once more. Now here we go through turn 5. We're running along here with Aero Nam. Jack mentioned it just before we started racing, but turn 5 is so hard because there's not much braking zone between the S's and where you need to turn in for 5, and the track is kind of moving around on you. So it's not a nice straight braking zone, and you need to kind of throw the car in because you need all of that momentum to get up the hill. So as he said, very easy to go off the outside. And Perry here has lost a little bit of ground to the likes of Fritcher and Lucetta. Perry was at the lead of that little group, unless I'm very much mistaken. He's there in the red and blue machine, as we see him there in that group. Now that's Naselli, Lucetta, Fritcher, and Race running along. So I wonder what happened to Perry. Might have had a little bit of a moment.
Yeah, possibly gone even further down the order now. This is a real kind of 2x3 situation, what we're looking at right now, led by Doherty, who's in the 994. Macarivi's in there, Bernardo, and of course Simon Meyer there in the 308. Jägermeister livery, of course, great to see it on the grid. Bernardo, then Nico Schuck is the other man that's in the back of that train, as well as they just jostle for position further down the order. And we're going to obviously keep our eye on the lead battle, because Stefani and Sykes are still absolutely nose to tail. And normally in this series we do get, of course, a mandatory pit stop. So we'll see if these guys also have to do that. I'm assuming it's following the same format as per normal. Stefani now with a little bit of a wide moment through turn 5. So Sykes right on his tail, 0.2 of a second, and we know that he closed up really closely when the gap was 0.4 of a second. So it could be now the case that he may be able to pull a move here. Stain is definitely in there. This is now a 9-car train for the lead position. This is absolutely not uncommon in SRF. We see it every single week, week in, week out. So now here comes Simon Sykes. He's tucked in behind. There is 2 cars there. You just can't see him. And Sykes is now just bump drafting him down towards the last straight. That's how close he is to the back of him. And it seems to me that he's just kind of working with him for now. Doesn't want to go for that overtake. Happy to sit behind him and let Stefani break the air in front of him using the slipstream. And also that will help Sykes a little bit with fuel usage as well, because when you're sat in that slipstream you don't use as much fuel. It's marginal, but it could make the difference.
Yeah, you do absolutely save a little fuel, not only in the straights, but you need to brake a little bit earlier than the car ahead, so you might save a little bit of just general wear on the car. Here's a good battle going on. We're looking here at Jean Pereira. He's won many races as a Spec 2 racer. Here he's running just behind Perry. So Pereira and his crew, and that's Miller, Murakami, and Sadro, I think, is just drifting off the rear. We'll see him at the bottom of our screen here. There he is. You can recognize the frowny face on the rear of his car, Daniel Sadro. A little bit of a moment there in turn 3. That was a little bit of an oops poops by Miller in the 212 machine. Lots of great battles on track. We do have a number of trains, as Jack alluded to. There's this one, great battle going on here between Miller, Pereira, Murakami, and Sadro on the rear. There's Perry doing well. He seems to be getting away from those guys a little bit. Oh no, Fritcher is off the track. Had an issue at 5. Here comes the replay. So we're looking at Fritcher here in the S's. Still fine. Here's that braking zone for 5. Turns the car in. Gets wide. Yeah. You know, Jack, it's as though you have a crystal ball that you're looking at.
Yeah, absolutely. But he did well to get out of the way there, with all those cars coming towards him, Jeff Fritcher. But that's exactly what we're used to seeing in that turn 5 section. I just saw it's just a little move being made. I think Aero Knob managed to dispatch Fraser Williamson, so that move's been made. There, as you see, there is the 78 car with Williamson nearly pushing him through the last corner. Up towards turn 1 they come. We've got Wagner, Kalb, and Halliburton. They're also in that train. It's one of the lap cars getting out of the way, but Aero Knob is up to P5 now, just trying to bridge the gap to Senkowski. That gap is opened out to over a second. So now they need to work together to close the gap up again. So the second gap is quite a large one, especially when you're dealing with a train as big as this. So they need to get the head down. Hopefully the guys in front may start battling, bring that gap down again. If there's, from previous experience, of course, with Aero Nom, he's a very quick driver, I'm sure. Well, he's dragging it in already, and he'll have a distant tow as well. So he has worked hard to do that, and we'll just be able to catch the move that Aero Nom made to get that position on Fraser Williamson. The Estonian making his way through and picked his moment and made his way through with a brilliant overtake in the second to last chicane. Threw it up the inside. I tell you what, Aeronom, he was assertive. He knew he was going to make that work, and he's now brought the gap down to the guys in front by 0.4 of a second in one single lap. So he's absolutely flying right now. But is Williamson going to try come back at him, or is he going to try work with him here? Aeronom now. And you got Williamson now backing off, but Noms immediately brought that gap down to half a second. So half a second in a single lap, and he's worked hard to do that.
Yeah, a lot of pace has Nom. Great driver, as you say. No question about that. I would expect to see even more from him. He has gained, if the timing tower is correct, 4 places over the course of the race. It wouldn't surprise me to see him gain even more. But in terms of place gaining, I think, Jack, we got to talk about Andres Bertoni, currently running in 23rd overall. And if my memory serves, he started at the very rear of the grid there in his Doge car, Bertoni. I believe that is well, who knows? But has gained over the course of the race so far 29 places, Jack. Not too bad.
Yeah, and it makes it even better that his car is plastered in Doge memes. That's brilliant from Andreas Bertoni. But he absolutely did start last of everybody, 52nd, and he's made up 29 places in this race. So let's see if he can continue that trend, maybe go over the 30 mark, but he's done well. The power of Doge bringing him up that far, of course, and we'll see if he can make it any more positions throughout the course of this race. Plenty of time for him. As we go back now to the leaders, this is getting hectic now at the head of the field. You can see them 2 by 2 now, 2 lines forming inside and outside line. Senkowski left out to dry, has to come back into the draft for a moment, but Williamson is now going to try pounce on Senkowski and get past Aeronom, maybe late on the brakes. No, he can't, but Senkowski is dispatched 2 places. He lost on that straight, and Aeronom on a charge now, bringing Fraser Williamson with him as well as they come over the hill to begin another lap, and 14 minutes gone in this 40-minute race. It's certainly hotting up a little bit now. The Estonian is on a charge, Williamson going with him, and you can see the difference in the pace, nearly half a second, 4 to 5 tenths of a second a lap faster than the guys in front. So it seems now Aeronom and Fraser Williamson are the guys to watch out for now, as they now try to work with each other to get past the guys. So you can see on the straight they used their slipstream to get past Senkowski, but didn't pass each other, so they're definitely working with each other for now.
Well, we got battles all the way around the track right now. I just want to take a look at Johan Butenga. I believe he's got a battle going with Gibson and Karpachin, and they are running. Butenga running in 32nd overall, I believe. We've got our first pit stops, Lucetta and McAreevy into the pits, but there is Butenga. Oh, he's off in 1. Oh no, Johan. Oh, come back, buddy. Come back, Johan. Oh, a little bit of a moment there in turn 1. It's happened to many. I was at an event here at Road Atlanta, saw a car do that very same thing, and then crowbar his sheet metal off of his tires, go back out on track. No harm, no foul. Here we go through turn 7 with Dobek. He's looking well. Let's see, other battles on track currently. It looks like Gibson and Cantor are having themselves a battle. Now, Gibson lost himself, I believe he lost himself a couple of places just a moment ago. Oh, no.
Oh, God.
Somebody spun around there. Jack, am I cursing these people by mentioning them?
Yes, Jim, you need to stop mentioning people because they're spinning with the pressure of being mentioned by you. So
I just want to get everybody in the field, you know?
Yeah, well...
There's
yeah,
sorry.
I'm also just going to cut in, Jim, because we've had the first pit stop from the top 9. Kane Halliburton has dived into pit lane, and he is the first of the lead train to pit from that battle. There he is. He's come in straight out again just for fuel. So he's now going to trigger maybe some guys to stop now, and he's come out in some free air. Beautifully done by Kane Halliburton. He comes out behind. Well, there he is, Andreas Bertoni in P19 now. That's another handful of places gained for him. That puts him well over the 30 places gained mark. But Kane Halliburton now triggers the pit stop phase for the top guys now. It's a question of who's going to respond when, but he's gone quite early, I'd say, within the context of this.
Yeah, I'd say that it's a... I think we're going to look at a replay here in a second, but I think that is a pretty early stop. We'll see how it plays out. Here's the number 257 machine of Sancinelli going around turn 6. And I think he's got Yang Qilin just behind here in 7. Just lost the rear of the car. A friend of mine did this in a BMW, and he stuffed it into the K-rail. Sancinelli did well to keep his car. Oh, dear. A little bit of a moment. A little bit of a drifting demonstration in the landscaping there. Back out on track and running well. Here is Halliburton, speaking of running well, in 20th overall. Let's see what kind of clear track. Oh, Jack, you're right. He does have a good bit of clear track ahead. And he might look just very sort of smooth and unassuming as he goes through 10A and B. But I guarantee you that was pretty fast. Smooth is fast. Here we go, back to the lead. We're looking at Sykes in the number 262 machine. Now, of course, Jack, as you know, cars with the number plate over 200 are going to be our Spec 2 cars. So Sykes, that would make Sykes a Spec 2 driver running in P2 overall and challenging for the lead of this race. So I would say that bodes well for his his placement in Spec 2. Let's see, the next car in Spec 2 would be Pereira, our championship winner from last season, unless I'm mistaken, in the 312 machine. And then in third, it would be Meyer, running in 17th overall in the number 308 machine. But Sykes doing very well here. And in fact, I believe he's going to have a little bit of a look at the inside going into 10A and will take that position from Stefani. Let's see if he can hang on to it through the 10AB. He does indeed. And Sykes now with a little bit of a gap as he goes under the bridge, over the hill, and down into turn 12. Wow, look at that. Little bit of a lead. I wonder if Sykes will be able to scamper away. Stefani with Williamson, Staney, and the whole crew all over him. The lead train has reduced a little bit thanks to that pit stop Jack was just talking about a minute ago. But Anam has pitted as well. He should have a pretty late pit stall. There he goes. Takes the fast repair. Does Nam. Had a little bit of a looks like he had a little bit of a damage on the rear deck lid. But through the S's and into turn 5 once more with Sykes and Stefani. Stefani with Williamson all over the rear of his car. Williamson, I think, has got to be biding his time. He looks like he's got lots of pace, but happy to run in P3 for the moment, bumping into the rear of Stefani's car as they set up for turn 6. And we'll go into heavy braking zone for turn 7 here. Most important corner on the track. Get this right, and you have all the pace you need on the back straight. Williamson could certainly make a pass here, Jack, if he wants to, just judging by the way that he got through 7 there. So if he doesn't do it, it's because he's content to stay in P3. Here he is having a look already. He could very well go to the lead of this race on this move, and I think he will. Same thing Stefani did a few minutes before. Williamson handily into the lead before he even needs to brake for 10A. And away we go once more. Under the lights, over the hill, and down into turn 12.
Yeah, the overspeed is insane with that one. Fraser Williamson, just to update you, of course, Aeronom came into the pit lane. He only just came out in front of Kane Halliburton. I think they are actually side by side. There could be a swap. Yes, there is. Halliburton is in front of Aeronom with a brave move up the inside before they get to the chicane. So that bodes well for Halliburton's strategy now. It didn't cost him too much time. He's come out in front of Aeronom, and remember, he was behind him before he went into pit lane. So Halliburton's clean air is working for him now, and he's pushing hard. Williamson with the fastest lap of the race that time by. Let's see how this compares with Halliburton as he comes across the start finish line. 32.0, not too far off that pace of the leaders at the moment. So Halliburton, this could very well work for him, but hopefully he's got enough fuel in to go to the end. As Sykes is off, I think. We see the red on the timing tower. Has he had a little off there in the first sector? Seems he might have just run wide a little bit in that second phase. He's going to lose a ton of momentum now. No damage whatsoever. He's carrying on, but it's just a momentum loss for Sykes. But look how much that will cost him now. Third down to 6th, make it 7th as Calb gets through as well. He's going to try and go for a double move, 3 wide. We're going to go maybe down towards the chicane. No, they decide against it. Sykes going to try to come back up the inside again of Wagner and holds on to that position, but just shows you momentum so key in these cars. If you lose it, that's at least 4 positions gone.
Yeah, especially in turn 7, as I say, the most important turn on the track. As we go down through 12 now, Calb is going to have a look at the inside of Sykes. Excuse me, that's Wagner. Very sorry. Wagner, well done there. Pulls ahead of Sykes. But yeah, to lose momentum there at that turn 7 area, it is just terrible in these momentum cars because there's nothing you could do to make it up. Now, if you're in a, if you're in something with a V8, a whole lot of power, not that big a deal. But in these cars, it's absolutely critical. Very much the most important turn of the track. Back down into the S as we go, looking at Sykes here. Just want to take a look at some more battles on track. It looks like we've got something brewing here between Cantor, Lucetta, and Bob Kern. They're running 25th through 27th. Just looking at the timing tower. There they are. There is Cantor. Cantor's got Lucetta, Kern, and Miller all very close to him. And Lucetta is going to take that place. Now, Lucetta, he was running very high up, Jack, if memory serves, and I think he might have already pitted. I think he pitted even earlier than some of those other guys, so we'd expect to see him moving up through the field. And indeed he is.
Yeah, he made a very early pit stop, so he's now fallen down to that order, down to 25th. Of course, he is in Spec 1 with that 91 on the front of the car, so easy to distinguish, so he should be able to side his way through in this phase of the race as we try to wait to see what's going to happen with our leader Sykes, and gets back past Wagner, who dives to pit lane. So Wagner's the next one to come into the pit lane, and we'll see now where he's going to come out, because of course we're keeping an eye on where he comes out relative to Aero Nom, who's got back past Halliburton again. So those guys are kind of maybe working together to bridge that gap. There's Aero Nom, so they're coming through the second, or the last chicane on the circuit, down towards the last corner. So we're watching to see where these guys come out relative to Wagner. Wagner will have to take less fuel than these guys would have had to, of course. Round the last corner they come. Where is Wagner? He's still in his pit box. He's got to be leaving it now, and surely now this is going to be easy pickings for Aero Nom and Kale Halliburton. They're through already, so brilliant strategy from these guys. The early stop is really working, so this could mean now Aero Nom and Kane Halliburton could be right up there, second and third. Oh, that's Simon Meyer taking to the escape road, just a little bit too wrong there in the first corner, but smart driving from Aero Nom de Stone and Kane Halliburton from Jamaica. They're working with each other. They have a bit of traffic coming up now, and he's going to get caught up behind Simon Meyer. They can't really afford this. Got to get past quickly now. Simon Meyer fighting for position. Oh, no, we can't find the place. Going to look for the inside now. A little bit of a squeeze from Simon Meyer. Aero Nom gets up the inside, and Kane Halliburton will try to follow him through, use him, and he does do so. It's these guys driving smart, working together, and it's working so far.
You know, that was a really touchy moment there with Meyer. Not much you can do between turns 5 and 6. There's not really. It looks like there's plenty of room, but it is a little bit of a troublesome pass there. So I think Meyer did a great job to have them go up the inside there on turn 6, and he gave them plenty of room to get by. Halliburton still battling with Nom. He will take this place back from Nom, I believe, before we get to the braking zone of 10A. They'll shortly have Bertoni to deal with and all of his Doge memes. If they can maintain their concentration on racing as they're looking at all those weird dogs on the side of Bertoni's car. We're looking here at Staney running in P2. This is the lead train. Staney followed by Sinkowski, the 57 and the 39 machine, P2 and P3. Just look at the way Williamson's carving through traffic up there.
Yeah, he's absolutely flying right here. This is he's catching up to some traffic just in front of him, and he's got to try to make light work of this now, trying to get past this car. But he's also built a car to say, look at this, bump drafting the car in front down towards the chicane. That is proper. Now this may be the new tactic in SRF. We didn't see it too often, but now it just seems that it seems to work in these cars, pushing each other down the straight and then moving out. That's the 66 car just getting out of his way right now and moves his way through, but that might have cost him a little bit of time. The 415 as well, lapped car moving out of the way, the guys behind as well, and they move through. But yeah, Bertoni now in the top 10. May I remind you, he started 52nd and last of everybody, and he's up in P9. He hasn't stopped yet, and he's actually getting caught now, Halliburton and by Aero Nom, so that won't last too long, but even so, commendable job so far from Andreas Bertoni, and he makes it now 41 places gained.
So Naselli into the pits. Yes, great job on all those places gained by Bertoni. Well done to you, sir. There is Naselli coming into his pit stop. And most everybody has stopped in the field now except our lead drivers, our top few. Bertoni into the pits. Jason Perry into the pits now as well.
Oh, no.
That's the number 66 machine is Burke Treadler there. I didn't see what happened there. We're looking at Sykes. I'm going to get the replay here in just a second. There is Treadler running through turn 5. Treadler wide on 5. Nothing Sykes could do. Yep. 5.
There.
Yep, and you often get a secondary wreck. You often get a secondary wreck there because there's that little bit of a brow of the hill there at 5, and cars come through and handle it well, and there's a slow-moving car between 5 and 6, and they get collected in the rear. Unfortunate for Sykes, he would have lost lots of momentum there. He has not stopped yet, though, so he can still take... Oh, I wonder if he's having some handling issues. That was a very sort of an early turn-in at 10A. He will move over and I think take his pit stop now. Wise move on Sykes' part. Grab that fast repair. Shouldn't be too much trouble, but we'll see where he comes out, won't we?
Yeah, this is going to be, of course, part of the scheduled stop as well. But I tell you what, Fraser Williamson, 1.3 seconds in front. He's gone. He's checked out in front of these two, Stay and Stankowski up in front, and Pereira peeled into pit lane at the same time. So he's now, I think he may be a little bit worried about the progress of Aeronom and Kane Halliburton, because you can see they're flying. Look how much curb he's using through turn 5 as well. He was 0.7 of a second faster on that lap than the guys behind. So he's absolutely on a mission, and you can see Halliburton and Nom well clear of Simon Sykes because of his incident. There they are. They're getting caught up behind some lap traffic right now as the 108 machine just in front tried to make their way through safely past the car in front. But you can see Williamson trying to push on here. He's going to get caught through turn 5. Not a great place. Halliburton's going to try maybe capitalize on this. He's not going to try anything untoward. Of course, blue flags will be in the air for these guys as well, so they're going to try to get through as best they can, but it's not really working for Aeronom. This is costing them time, and the lapper goes off mercifully for Aeronom onto the grass. That would have cost them a big chunk of time, and if I were Fraser Williamson, I'd pit now if he had a spotter that he was held up that much in the middle sector. I don't think Williamson has gone into pit lane yet. Halliburton's going to swap again. Dominic Kalb is going to be the one to dive into pit lane this time, and he's now pitting from P4. He was behind, of course, the two guys in front. Oh, one guy's missed his pit box. That's the 525 reversing down the pit lane. They've definitely missed their pit box. I've done that many times, so whoever that is, I feel your pain. As we're now going to see Halliburton and Nom about to come through the last corner now. Wait to see where they come out relative to David Kalb as they come across the start finish. Kalb is still in his pit box. This is going to be easy, I think, for Halliburton and Nom. They're already fast and they're making huge progress. So now I think it's right that Fraser Williamson is trying to go long, open out the gap as much as possible. It's going to be really tight on the exit because Williamson will not have to take a lot of fuel. He's just got to take enough to get to the end with 10 minutes to go in this race, and he may or may not have the gap, but he'll certainly have less fuel in the tank. He won't have to worry about fuel saving compared to the other guys. We don't know how much they're going to have to save. So Halliburton and Nom, great strategy, but Williamson, he might be able to make this work.
You would think that he'd certainly stop. This time we should see shortly going through turn 9 here. We'll head down the hill into the 10AB complex. And once we go up the hill once more, the pit entry is just driver's right. So we should see shortly whether he's going to take the pit stop or if he's going to go around once more. He heads up the hill under the lights to the right of the blend line, and he will indeed take his pit stop, the number 123 machine. Williamson into the pits now, Jack, as you say, and the rest of the field pits as well. So everybody has pitted now. And Staney and Stankowski dove in just behind Williamson. Not sure what happened there. I think there was some kind of an issue with Stefani, I understand. I wasn't able to see it. Looking here at Halliburton.
Here we go, here's the merge. Williamson on the right-hand side. Halliburton's going to get him, I think, as they come up the hill, and they're going to maybe drop 2. Nom gets him on the merge. So Halliburton and Nom are your 2 leaders. Brilliant work from those 2. Now Williamson, he's been really quick all the race long. He surely got the pace, but it's between these 3 now for the win. But Halliburton and Nom have done a brilliant job there, considering Halliburton was down in 9th at the bottom of the train, and he's now leading. And great work between himself and the Estonian Aero Nom. Great effort from Williamson. He's still right with them, so this is definitely going to be a race to the flag now, as it always is. Another lapper is going to cause some issues here for Kane Halliburton, and now it's just going to be a straight fight to the finish, as it always is. There's Bob Curtis getting out of the way of the guys as they come down towards the last chicane. Here we go. Is there going to be any moves made, or is it going to be another series of bump drafting coming down into the chicane? Williamson's going to go for it. Has he got the speed to get by both of them? I think he certainly does. He's looking, and he's got the inside on both of them. So from 3rd up to the lead, Williamson wastes no time. Back to the front he goes with 7 minutes left on the clock, and this is definitely going to be now a case of these 3 going at it to the flag. But Williamson, after his pit stops, comes out 3rd, ends the lap in the lead.
Unbelievable. Of course, we have plenty of racing left to go. A couple of laps, surely a couple of laps at about 1:30 per lap. And just about 6.5 minutes to go. We should have several laps left to go. I do apologize. Johnny Grabs showed us the replay from Stefani. Greg Stefani apparently had an incident where he got hip checked off the track. I was not able to see it. I apologize. I hope that you saw it. You saw what happened. My understanding is one of the other cars got into Stefani and sent him off the track. Of course, we don't want to see that, but these things do happen. Looking here still at the lead of the race. It looks like the train has mostly spread out over the course. Just looking at the timing tower to see if there are any battles to jump to. Cantor and Aksentiev look like they are battling down in 29th and 30th. It looks like Meyer is all over the rear of Fritcher's car. Bernardo all over the rear of Race. There is Meyer on the rear of Fritcher. So as the race goes on, of course, it does tend to settle down. And now we will begin to speed back up. Things are going to get pretty spicy over the next couple of laps. There is Sykes. Had a little bit of an issue just a moment ago. Sykes with Naselli on his rear. Naselli, very, very good driver. A car that we know well in this series. We've seen lots of great results out of Sykes. So for him to be running in P9, you know that the top of the field is very, very fast. Here we go with Nam running in 3rd and looking at the rear of Williamson's car, who is all over Halliburton. Halliburton managed to get into the lead of the car. That pass must have happened in 10A while we were looking at the rest of the field. So Williamson all over the rear of Halliburton now as we head up the hill through turn 1 once more. And toward the top of the hill, you want to sight for that tree that we see ahead. The braking zone is blind for 3. Through 3 we go, and down into the S's once more. This track is... You just got to know it. You can't really see. You almost can't see, Jack, the places where you need to get on the brakes. And the places that you can see are terrifying. And that's all about, that's turn 5.
Yeah, and you can see how much the suspension has to work as well as these guys now, as they fight it out for the win. Halliburton swapped around on the back straight, of course. And now Williamson may be able to do the same thing. He's carrying a lot of speed in that car. But now the question is, who wants to lead on the last lap? Because it seems like the slipstream effect is so powerful that it's going to be a case of you want to be 2nd or 3rd heading down to the last chicane. So here comes Fraser Williamson now with the overspeed. Will he be able to get through, or will he bother to go for it here? You can see him closing down to the chicane. Here he comes inside line for the chicane, and he's immediately through and ahead before the braking zone. The slipstream has definitely been improved in these cars. We haven't seen it that powerful. There's a car off in front. Will that cause issues for them as they rejoin? No, it doesn't. Hopefully not, it doesn't. And they get past cleanly. But now Halliburton trying to get back past Williamson as they come across the line with just a few minutes to go. This is getting really tight right now, and Aero Nom is the man just kind of watching these guys in front. Plenty of experience has Aero Nom, and we have a new leader once again in Fraser Williamson. They've got another lapped car to deal with that's coming up just in front of them now, and hopefully they should be able to deal with that very, very well. But again, Williamson has led, but one man who hasn't actually led since these guys have come out is Aero Nom. He's watching and waiting in the wings with his experience.
I think probably so. And Williamson had a little bit of a moment there between 10A and B. I just saw the rear of the car step out. He was lucky not only to save himself from a worse issue as so many have had in that section of the track, but also to stay in the lead, which he managed to do. But you make a great point, Jack. Do you want to be in the lead at this point? Or do you want to be, you know, Aeronam is not in a bad position, especially if the two drivers go through poorly through this section through turn 7. Just a millimeter one way or the other through turn 7 can wreck the rest of your lap because of this long back straight all the way down to 10A. Halliburton going to have a look now, and he will very handily, I'm sure, get around Williamson. But Nam might very well be able to make a move here as well, although Williamson battling back. Williamson will have the inside on Halliburton as we go down the hill into 10A, into the braking zone. I think Halliburton is going to get him this time. Williamson slots behind. Aeronam in P3. Over the hill, under the lights, under the bridge, and back down through turn 12 once more to complete another lap. And we should, I'm guessing, have 2 or 3 laps left to go. Jack, what do you think? I didn't see a white flag in the hand of the flagger there, so we've got a couple of laps left to go.
Yeah, I reckon 2 more. So this one and the next one will be the last few laps. So it's all or nothing now for these guys at the head of the field. So Halliburton now leads it. Still no sign of Aeronam deciding to go for an overtake. He's been very patient behind these top 2. So really, really close between these guys. Brilliant strategy from all of them. Hopefully Halliburton and Nom have enough fuel to get there. They made Kane Halliburton's pitted very early in this race and has managed it very well with Aeronam working alongside him in tandem. We are on board with Fraser Williamson as they come down to the back straight right now. We'll definitely get one more lap in just about here as we come through the second to last right-hander down towards the chicane now. Will Williamson go for the lead or will he stay behind? Crucial moments in this last phase of the race in the slipstream. Aeronam watching behind as well. Here comes Williamson. Will he go for it or will he stay behind? I think he's staying behind as he comes down. He's going to bump draft Kane Halliburton down into the chicane. He wants to stay behind on the final lap. He's already worked it out when he's going to go for his overtake. It's going to be into this chicane on the final lap, and that's the beauty of Road Atlanta, that you can do that. White flag will come out this lap at the vRunoffs here at Road Atlanta, and what a race it's been so far with these brand new cars. White flag in the air for this time by. It's Halliburton versus Williamson versus Nom for the win. Here comes Williamson, dives to the inside but doesn't have enough speed. He shows himself in the mirrors. Up the hill they come for the last time, and it's now going to be a case of where does he go for his overtake. He's already thinking about it for that chicane. You know Halliburton's going to defend with everything he's got, but does he have enough of a straight line speed to keep him there? Through the S's they'll come now for the last time. Couple of lapped cars coming up right there. Will they catch them? Will that help Kane Halliburton with a slipstream as well? He may be able to use them to his advantage if he can catch them quickly enough. Up the hill they go through turn 5 for the last time. He will be able to use these cars to his advantage or to his detriment. Those cars could get in the way of him as they come round this double right-hander now. It's crunch time at Road Atlanta. Williamson's got to do it in this last chicane. He's trying to get up underneath him here. Here we go. It's going to get really hectic now. Halliburton's going to dive in the slipstream of the lapped cars. Where does Williamson go for it? He's got no space to try and go for it here. Where does he go for it? Into the chicane. There's cars absolutely everywhere, and Halliburton is siding his way through like a slalom, and he's done well there to keep Williamson behind him, and Williamson does not have the speed. Aeronam looking to the outside line with a massive overspeed. Williamson to the inside, 3 abreast for the win here at Road Atlanta. Nom does the double round the outside to the last corner, side by side for the win at Road Atlanta. Halliburton's around, side by side, down towards the last corner. Welcome to Gen 3. Fraser Williamson wins at Road Atlanta in a stunning finish, in a brilliant end to this race. Gen 3 is on the table, and that is what is coming up in SRF Weekend Warriors this season. What a finish here at Road Atlanta. Fraser Williamson does the job.
Absolutely unbelievable final couple of laps. We will see a replay here of the action between turn A and B. There is Halliburton ahead. You see Williamson pull to the inside. Nom, of course, on the far outside. You see the front of Nom's car there. And just as they go up the hill, Halliburton is going to clip the outside of Nom's car. You saw that little wiggle. And then Halliburton went off into the wall. Here we go from Halliburton's perspective. This is the same thing, by the way, that happened to the Nissan Delta wing. You see him getting squeezed here. He's going to try to get up the hill, and he's just a little tap in the rear there and into the wall there. Oh, he's got to be annoyed. If we could see him, I'm sure he'd be pounding the steering wheel, getting out and kicking the rear tire, Verstappen style. But there is our man Bertoni. Andres Bertoni, Jack, ends up P11 overall, 41 places gained. Not too bad, Bertoni.
Yeah, 41 places gained for Andreas Bertoni. The power of Doge is definitely with him to get him up out just outside the top 10. Of course, Spec 1 driver in SRF, but there's the guys on the back straights, and there's one of them run out of fuel here, because I think Williamson's pushing him back to the pits here, the 57 car. Well, giving him a little nudge. He's definitely run out of fuel there, the 57 of Staney. And
I think he's getting a shove to the site of the Demolition Derby, which will be up here at the 10AB complex, I'm sure. I don't think he's necessarily taking him home so much as taking him to the scene of the crime.
Yeah, possibly to his death. Is where he's bringing him to now, Fraser Williamson, as the Derby begins in the background. But Fraser Williamson with a brilliant job, a massive dive up the inside in the second to last corner. He takes it. Aero Nom just a 10th behind in second. Jason Staney takes third. Neil Sankowski and David Kalb, your top 5. Gresham Wagner, Maurizio Naselli, Greg Stefani and Steve Elson, with Jason Perry rounding out the top 10. Andreas Bertoni from 52nd and last, 41 places up. He finishes in 11th. Then Dan Sadjo, John Pereira, Michael Dobek, Manuel Lachetta, J.W. Miller, Jerry McAreevy and Francesco Bernardo in 18th place. A couple more to come, of course. Simon Meyer, Jeff Fritcher, great recovery from Hugh Haycox. Remember where he was? He barely made it to turn 1 before he was killed, and he makes it back to 21st. Chris Murakami, James King, Adam Bradshaw, Kane Halliburton classified as 25th, and he did get across the line eventually. There's the Demo Derby starting at the bottom of the straight. Antonio Reyes, Sergei Exentiev and Jeff Cantor now as well. Flavio Andal and Bob Current, Johan Butenga, Dominic Bureau, Mira Hrvatsky, Roland Wallbank, Jamie Halford, Wan Chi Lin, Stephen Beardsley and Simon Sykes. And pity for Simon, he was fighting at the top. Stephen Mitchell, Bobby West, Ian Gibson, Andrea Luciano, Maxim Karpachin, Edgar Sancanelli, Burke Chidler, Nico Shook, Ed Doherty, Jeff Jacobson. All these guys non-classified in this race. Then Dominic Blaszczyk, Peter Mizarek, Stevie Rayo unfortunately didn't make the finish, and Alex Albert, the very last car on the order there. But the Demo Derby's on, the first one we've had in the Gen 3 cars, but that makes me very excited for the new series of SRF, because massive slipstream effect, super close racing, and it's even more exciting now the cars are faster. It's just basically old SRF on steroids.
Absolutely. So glad to see all of these faces, Jack. It really, as you say, makes me just thrilled to get the season started. We've got so many. The strength of field in this series is off the charts, so we're going to see racing that close all season long. All you have to do is come and hang out with us again. You can see us on the YouTubes and on Twitch as well, I believe, although some members of the commentary team are a little bit better at the social media stuff than I am. I am, of course, 1,000 years old, so not quite sure how it works, but we do have some drivers waiting for an interview. Let's see, Jack, who we've got. Oh, I think it's Williamson. Be a good call, won't he? Let's drag him in here. There he is, Mr. Williamson. Congratulations. How are you feeling, sir?
I'm a bit out of breath. That car's a bit more hard work than I remember, and that race was closer than last time.
Interesting. So your first impression is that you think it's a little bit harder. You know, some people are saying it's easier to drive. Some people are saying it's harder. You think it's harder?
Most definitely. There's some interesting things that weren't in the old car that's in the new car. It's a lot sketchier and initial turning under heavy braking. And it's just easier to walk up an inside tyre on entry, which can lead to some very bad spins down into T7 in the 10A, 10B as you can.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, let's not get ahead of ourselves. The race, you know, it seemed like you were working out there all race long, but of course the things must have sort of gotten heated up for you when you were starting to think about your pit strategy. Can you tell us how that unfolded for you?
Yeah, so we're in TeamSpeak with some of the guys that were in that lead pack with us, most of the Vendaval guys, and we're just chilling. We're just hoping to sit and fuel save and hope that nobody would go for that undercut that you saw Eero and Kane go for. Because our pace was so slow, we knew whoever jumped blinked first could put a second a lap over whatever was happening. So as soon as I saw Kane go for it and I saw Eero starting to move up the pack, we kind of went from, well, what fuel have we got, what can we save whilst building up pace to keep as many of us in front of Kane.
So when you saw the the sort of the pit start to unfold, it seemed to me it was very well, both of us, Jack and myself, it seemed very early that the pit strategy started to unfold there. That was on we weren't even halfway through the race.
Yeah, it's just because we were going so slow that they saw we Kane and Eero saw we can just completely outlap these guys and just build a gap that we can then lose at the pit stop. So then I think they were expecting to come out further in front than they did, but they made the correct strategy if there was maybe another one of them so they could draft more efficiently. But yeah, it's just they had to make that decision so early to make the play work, if that made sense. It was something you have to commit to from the start for it to pay off.
So when you're coming out of the pits, you see those guys go by. You're going up the hill there, and it seemed like Nam was able to get by you. So what are you thinking at that point? Are you thinking my race is over, or this is where I want to be anyway, or how did that go?
Well, I slid my pit box, first of all, which is, as we all know, not the smartest thing in the world to do. So knowing that I came out pretty much side by side with them, knowing that I would have had a second over them, or like, albeit that would have just been lost up the hill and down, but knowing I would have had track possession, I knew that what we'd done up to that point was working. I knew that we could, or at least I could, then just sit behind Eero and Kane and draft and just make a move. I wasn't expecting them just to give it to me, straight away when on the outlap I just drafted past both of them, and I was expecting someone to defend early to try and keep that position. But yeah, nobody did, and myself and Kane just traded that position until the end of the race, until that last lap shenanigans.
Yeah, okay, well, you use a very good word, shenanigans. So what's going through your mind as the shenanigans begin to unfold? You guys were very close. I was expecting to see Eero pull a sort of to try some sort of a hero move, which I guess he kind of did on the final lap down into 10A, but then you guys ran into all of that traffic. What was going through your mind?
Backing out of it in the second to last lap, and then I saw the traffic up there and just went, well, I'm now just ruined. I expected Kane to have such a nice draft, which he did. You saw how late I caught him down the straight. I had to Hail Mary send it, and it wasn't a clean move. I'm not proud of it. There was contact involved and nobody wants to see that, but I knew that as soon as it came out the hairpin, I was done for. Eero was closer to me than I was to Kane. At best, I was 3 wide into the chicane. I saw Kane didn't fully defend to the left, to the white line, so I just went, you know what, we're just going to send it. Hopefully this all would come out the other side, all 3 of us survive, and we did for the most part. So yeah, it was just, I don't know what I was thinking, to be honest. If I was thinking I wouldn't have done that, I would have came up with something better than that.
Yeah, well, we're just looking at the replay on screen now. You had a car's worth of room there. The unfortunate sort of effect of this 3-wide move was it actually happened later after 10B. Kane got into the rear of Nam's car, and that's what sent him off. But all's fair in love and war, as they say. But altogether, a great race. You got to feel good about you got to feel good about the win, and I certainly hope we're going to see more of you during the season.
Potentially, I'll drop in and out, I think. Obviously, these big grids are good fun, but I'm personally not a fan of the fuel-saving races every weekend. So, hence why I would only turn up to these once every now and then, just as something different. But with the new car, it might tempt me in a bit more than usual.
Well, I'm glad you had fun. Like I say, I hope we see more of you. And yeah, thanks so much for stopping by in an interview. For an interview, Fraser Williamson, congratulations on your win today.
Thanks, guys.
Well, Jack, that's going to just about wrap it up for us. We've said a couple of times during the broadcast, it bodes well for our future in the new car, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely does. That was a fabulous finish between those guys, and well, of course, the new season is coming up shortly, so we don't have long to wait for the new season. But now that officially brings an end to our coverage for at least a week or two. But I'm excited. I'm really excited to see what the new cars are going to be like, because if that's anything to go by, then we're in for a hell of a season.
You know it. I hope that we continue to see big grids and close racing. That is what this series does so well. Do join us again. It's this much fun every time. I've been Jim Hodgson, joined by Jack Kanan and, of course, Jonathan Grabowski. We've been live on Apex Racing TV and can't wait to see you again for yet another Spec Racer Ford Weekend Warriors.